What's up, guys? WildSwag here. So, the two YCSs finished. Um, Lots of random stuff happened. Uh, Dragons, yada yada yada. Beyond that, I just like to talk about net decking because this happens after every event, and everyone complains about originality in the game and this and that and yada yada yada. All that good stuff. So I'd like to point out a few things. I'm kind of piggyback off of MCole40's channel, which I'll put in the doobly doo. He did a segment on this as well about what net decking really does for the game, and I completely agree with him. Net decking allows you to gather the knowledge, and just because unfortunately, the credit is not given to the all powerful person who had the very first idea and posted it somewhere. Um, that gets lost in translation, I guess. Like, we're not gonna know these things, um, all the time. Anyways, so net decking is good for the game because it allows people to, get a build, get an understanding of what the hell the deck does. Like, guaranteed, no one in the TCG right away would build the same consistent of a build as the OCG did with the Heretics. Because the TCG is so used to being babysat in terms of decks, because net decking has always been around since the whole yada yada, whatever. But that's just how it is. For example, like, Utopia Ray probably wouldn't see play if somebody at a YCS didn't do well with it. Everyone's like, oh, you can mind control a Utopia. Yeah, but how many decks main deck mind control for the most part? Like, not a whole lot. Same can be said about something like Dragon Knight. By the way, this card would have saved the third place winner of the YCS. He would have kicked out the Dragon player if he had this card. But of course, no one thinks about this card when it clearly is a good card against, anything that uses dragons at all. Even a Starlight Roaded Stardust on their side of the field, and your dead Stratos makes this. Use it. So he's part of my side extra deck in Heroes until even when we get a Suridao or whatever the hell he's called. So back on topic to the net decking. We need net decking because if people don't net deck, then we just have a bunch of bad ideas, bad players, bad things everywhere. What people do when they net deck, for the most part, is they take the build, they test that build. Then they're like, well, that doesn't really fit my playstyle. That doesn't fit what I'm doing. So what do? Well, you switch things. I personally hate Solemn Judgment. I hate the card. Not when it's used against me. I love that, because usually they use it on stupid shit. But, like, I love it. I hate it when I use it, because every time that I end up using it, it ends up killing me. I end up paying way too much for something way too little, and it doesn't do anything. There are limitations on what it can negate, so there's not really a point. The next thing is, like, things that are older. So, like, right now I'm building a Machina deck. I have no idea what the fuck a Machina deck is for the first thing. So I'm like, well, what do? Do I just, like, put machines and gadgets in a deck and go derp, derp, derp? That's not what happens, especially in today's meta where you have Dark Worlds, where this guy becomes a sitting blow-up doll for them to fuck. So, and yes, that's a play on words. So that's just, you have to learn how to play around these things. So it's, even if you do net deck, there's no guarantees you're going to do well. Now, that's not to say that you can't do well with a net deck version of a deck. It's just very unlikely that you'll do well. Hence why we see a lot of these Rabbit players or Inzektor players, especially Inzektor players, have different variety in what they're playing in terms of spell and traps, and even 3-hopper compared to 2-hopper, tour guide build, tour guideless build, Armageddon Knight, Mystic Tomato, like all these different things have different things, and that was my computer, not yours. Just to let you know. Same with all that buzzing, it's my phone because people can't understand and do the video. Anyways, uh, so that was just something I've noticed is that people don't understand that neck decking is needed because otherwise we just have bad, bad, bad ideas. There's a good point on Yu-Gi-Oh! Elite. I'll also leave a link to the Yu-Gi-Oh! Elite in the bottom. It's run by Underworld 6667 and a few other people. It's like their thing, and join it. Anyways, so what other people don't realize is that, or sorry, this was back to the Elite. A European player posted about how European players are generally better at the game than United States and Canadian players. He said United States, but I add them both together since they're both the same nationals. And, for the most part, I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. Whenever European players come over to our YCSs, they usually do very well. This was seen at Long Beach where you had some guy from England just waltz in and be like, "Sup, bitches?" Just kind of, do whatever they do. And the reason for this is because they have a smaller player base and a smaller group of people to go to these YCSs. So there's more connection between the players and more interaction between, this and that. More exchange of ideas. There are bad European players, by all means, but they're better than our bad players because they have such a big influence with these other people around them that are good. Now, if we have the sheer numbers, right? We have thousands of Yu-Gi-Oh! Players in our meta. And that's great. We have lots of people to play against, lots of people to trade with, lots of people to, rip off and beat the hell out of and tear them down because they're terrible and tell them they suck and get their deck list because it's actually awesome and things like that. So it's that kind of stuff that makes our player base bad because we do have a lot of bad players, just absolutely horrible players. It's, sometimes it's because they don't actually understand the game, and other times it's just because they're bad. Like, they're like, for example, there was some guy who on, and I'm not going to say Dueling Network because that's a whole other story that I've talked about before. That's a cesspool of bad, and that's where you can really see it. But I'm talking about physical players who play the game. I'm not going to state names, but there are people that I do play against or who I have played against who basically take a structure deck and call it a deck. That's not really how you play. You're supposed to, create a deck, at least put 3 decks together and kind of take the best of everything. Like, the guy who played Dragons did. He basically just took 3 structure decks. Shut the fuck up, phone. Things like that. Or people who don't, it's not in it, or they just don't care, or they just, I'm playing I'm a casual. It's like, that's fine, but don't claim that you're good. Don't claim that you're better than all these people. If you yourself have admitted that you're playing as a casual, play as a casual. That's all you have to do. If you play as a casual, then that's great. You're a casual. Don't complain about prices of cards, about the meta, about net decking. If you're a casual, don't complain about these. They don't affect you. You're just playing for fun. You're doing whatever you want to do. You're not playing because you have invested money into this, or you have invested airfare and going to YCSs and all that stuff. And I'm not saying that I've been to YCSs or things like that, but I've definitely spent money paying other people to drive me to regionals or things like that. Like, I don't drive, so what do? Hey, person who's on my team, drive, and I pay you the money. So, and things like that. Next kind of person is the person who doesn't know the value of trading. For example, that's you can see it, it's a rare wolf. They're not too valuable. I bought it for 25 cents. That's still more. It's like that's far less than it's worth. Another example is bulk trading. A lot of people who have lots of stuff just bulk trade, and eventually they whittle down to nothing. I do bulk trading. But I do bulk trading where I'm trading like 100 and blah 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 worth of stuff for their 100 and blah 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 worth of stuff, and we're doing bulk trades that way, taking away a little money here and there, kind of thing. A good example of this would be my collection of TGs. I have about 9 Rush Rhinos, 14 Warwolves, and 6 Strikers, I believe. And that's because in all of these big trades, I kept forgetting that I had all these cards already. I hadn't built the deck yet because I didn't have all the pieces in terms of Psychics and stuff. This is when I was building Psychics, TG Psychics. I didn't think I had the cards, and then I just suddenly got all these cards. And I'm like, oh man, I got all these cards now. So now I, slowly, traded away things here and there and got stuff down. Same with like the Jirac Goibas. Before Dino Rabbits got big, I had a ton of them, and then people suddenly want, and this is another thing that people need to learn, is trade values. We have horrible traders in the US and Canada. Horrible traders. They assume that, like, my favorite trader is the trader who hears eBay value. So okay, so let's talk eBay value. Okay, that doesn't mean what they're asking for when it says $25 and $5 shipping. It's the completed listings of what they've sold for. So when it says it's sold and you're going by lowest with shipping, it says $12 with $0 shipping. That card that you have agreed is on eBay values is $12. Get it through your head. Just because somebody's asking for something doesn't mean they're getting it. A good example of this, if any, would be when looking at antique money. I don't know how many of you look at antique money. I personally collect old money and old coins and shiny things and old paper and things like that. And when I'm looking at stuff online, I'm looking at, okay, so they're asking for this much, so I could, and this is what I'm trying, like if I'm looking to sell some of my stuff. Okay, so people are asking this much, but let's see what they're actually getting for it. And then you go to completed listing, you look what people are actually getting. It's usually much different because people just don't understand values of things, or economy and things like that. So that's just my little shot at things. So net decking kind of led to a bunch of other stuff, but net decking is not bad. It doesn't hurt anybody. It doesn't, we can't copyright Yu-Gi-Oh! You don't own any rights to Yu-Gi-Oh! Shut the fuck up, phone. And, so you can't do anything about it. It's going to happen regardless. If you don't like it, quit the game because it's going to happen no matter what. If you're still complaining about the format, this is just my little note at the end. If you are still complaining about the format, where Rabbit, Inzektor, Dragon, Dark World Heroes, Wind-Ups, TG Stun, any Chain Burn, I think a Blackwing deck tops 6 Sands. You have all these decks topping events all over the world. How is that bad? Like, I understand that Dino Rabbit takes up a lot of that, but the fact that other decks get in there has to say something. This is not a total diversity blown format. There's tons of diversity and creativity. Every Inzektor deck that topped at the YCS in France was completely different, either by text or by actual build. Why are you complaining? Oh, I don't own tour guides or expensive cards, and I'm tired of playing the same decks on Dueling Network. Stop playing on Dueling Network. Do what I do. Only play people that you trust, that you know. I've started to only play about 3 people on DN, and it's because A, I can test with them for locals, and that would be also in the underbar, His name is Dark Dust Dragon. Great person. Watch his videos. Subscribe. We'll be doing collaborations in the summer, which will happen in probably a week or so. Just great content overall. Thumbs up his videos to show him that you like them. They're all creative. They're all original ideas. Okay, let's wind that back up. Not original ideas, original builds. Because obviously he didn't create the idea of Malefics or things like that. So original builds. They're not taken from anybody else, and there's a lot of good ideas. You'd be surprised how well his Malefic deck does competitively. I'm surprised more people aren't playing it. If I can find Cyber End Dragons and another Stardust Dragon, I'm definitely building the deck just to have access to it because it's so good if you can get a good hand. My phone keeps going off and I'm really sorry, but if you can't hear it, I'm sorry that I'm saying it, but anyways, please comment, rate, subscribe. In the underbar, or the doobly-doo, there will be Dark Dust Spirits account, MCole40's account, the Yu-Gi-Oh! Elite, and for shits and giggles, I'll put a link to Underworld 6667. There we go. So, I hope you enjoyed this video. Please thumbs it up, subscribe to those people, and do whatever you do. I'm really happy because I'm done exams in 1 day, so thumbs up for that.